Hello and welcome to the Truth Booth once again. I'm going to do a little video with my granddaughters, Madeline and Alaska. Madeline and Alaska, who are, how old are you?
I'm 15.
How old are you?
I'm 14.
And you belong to what?
Generation Z.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit just about the different generations, but specifically about Gen Z, and just kind of get from these girls their perspective on that. And the reason we're doing this is because we really believe that generations need to talk to each other.
Yes.
And these are interesting topics, and not to go like this with each other, but to really try to appreciate and understand
Not to go
one
like
another.
this, but to go like
This! Oh, that's really good. That's really cute.
really corny.
Yeah. There you go. All right. So we're hoping that this will help you to not feel like strange or out of place or awkward about just trying to engage with another generation. And we should be learning about other generations so that we have something to talk about, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you guys, you know, I come from the baby boomer generation. Do you know anything about the baby boomers?
Yes.
What?
Well, I know that they're called the baby boomers because no one could have, little
Babies.
chillins when
Churns.
when the husband was away at war and the wife was working at home. So when they came back, it was like
They got very romantic.
I'm so happy.
And they had babies together.
And they had babies together.
Lots of babies.
So it was a
Lots
baby.
of
So many
babies.
babies.
And so,
Yeah.
okay, do you know anything about baby boomers?
Well, we have a nifty little graph right here that has like really concise description.
Yeah.
Okay, so they said that baby boomers are born from 1940 to 1959. The context of like
When
where
they were
were
born.
born, is post-war and dictatorship and repression. Their behavior tends towards more idealism, revolutionary, and collectivist. And their main consumption is
Ideology.
ideology and vinyl and movies, which is really cool. I really like both of those.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's why we connect on the movie part, right?
Yeah,
We like watching
We
movies.
both really like really
We
old
like
movies. So
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. All right, and then what came after the baby boomers? Do you know?
Gen X.
And who are they?
Our parents.
No,
Most. Well,
not
dad.
yes.
Okay, and what are they?
They're born from 1960 to 1979. The context of them being born was like political transition, capitalism, and mediocrity dominates. And their behavior was more materialistic, competitive, and individualistic. And their consumption was status, brands and cars, and luxury articles.
Oh, so that is kind of your parents and down
Yeah.
kind of. Yeah, okay.
So those were the kids that more like grew up in the 80s.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
And then came.
the next generation is Gen Y or millennials.
Yeah.
Okay, so the context of when millennials were born was globalization, economic stability. Oh, and I forgot to say, they were born from 1980 to 1994. So they're actually kind of like time period wise, like a smaller generation. And so they were also born in the emergence of the internet.
Very exciting.
So their behavior tends to be more globalist, questioning, and oriented to self. And their consumption was more experience, festivals and travel, Coachella, flagships.
Yeah. Okay.
And then now we get
And
to
now it's. Da-da-da-da,
Now it's Gen Z.
And I'm wondering what they're
Born.
going to do, because that was XYZ. Where are they going to go after that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
know.
Okay,
Maybe
but you are Gen Z. So
Born from 1995 to 2010.
Woo! Okay,
Yes.
and what?
So
yeah.
the
explain.
context of us living is mobility and multiple realities. So talking more about like phones and just how we're kind of like we can be all over the place
Video
in
games,
one place at the same time.
VR,
Yeah. Okay, social networks, like Instagram,
TikTok, Snapchat.
Yeah, those are the
yeah.
main ones that our generation
Yes.
uses. And we are digital natives.
Digital natives.
Our
okay.
behavior tends to be undefined identity, communaholic, which I can totally see, dialoguer, and realistic. And our consumption tends to be more uniqueness, unlimited, and ethical.
Okay.
So I think that's really interesting.
I feel a little bit of pride coming for this generation.
Yeah.
You kind of like your generation.
Gen Z pride.
I really like my Well, yes. It
it
has its downfalls.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I pretty much really like art.
Well, first, before we talk about Gen Z too much, what do you see as differences from Gen Y, which would be the millennials, to Gen Z? What do you see?
Better in everything.
No, stop.
Okay.
Millennials might be watching. I think that one thing that's different, especially with the things that we tend to pursue, is millennials tend to go after things that they feel very passionate about, and things that like they are just like, like that could be like different types of art, like just really, they really try to find like ways that like things that they really enjoy, and just they try to use that.
I feel like they seek fulfillment a lot, like to its utmost.
Right.
And
Gen Z is more, I think, a bit more, like it said, like realistic.
Yeah.
And they they think about what could like really be good for like making money, what is like a good business. They are very entrepreneurial. I totally butchered that word, but
entrepreneurial.
Yes.
But yeah, and they're just very
What do you
self-made.
think made that shift? Why do you think your generation, because I do see that. I see that millennials are very kind of idealistic about even their life plan.
Right.
Like they don't seem to be, I'm not saying all millennials, but just from what I've observed, they don't seem to be happy or fulfilled unless they're doing something as like the passionate dream job, or the passionate, person they marry, or the passionate classes, or the passionate whatever.
Yeah.
How do you think that changed then to your generation for you to be more realistic? And it is already said about your generation that you're going to be the generation that is going to work hard, probably start working young, knowing that that's not what they're going to be doing for the rest of their life, but knowing that they have to start somewhere. Want to work, aren't idealistic about the kind of job they're going to get. They're saying that your generation are the ones that are going to probably go back into service work and at a young age. Because you have in mind what you want down here, and you're going to have to start working hard for it.
Yeah.
What do you think made that difference?
You can.
I think that like a lot of people from my generation, well, I think a lot of us kind of saw financial hardship, at least in like our country, and that kind of showed them that they need to be resourceful. And make savings long term. And I think there's a lot more economics education for us, like available. Like I feel like that's a bigger priority in school than it used to be. And another thing is, I think that like we kind of like see how a lot of like, not to bash millennials, but a lot of them are like less likely to be employed and stuff because they're pickier about their jobs. And I think our generation kind of sees that and is like, well, it might not be what I want to do right now, but if I like really work hard and do something that I don't want to do, maybe I can have that job.
It's kind of like learning from mistakes, to put it bluntly. Because it's just like, I feel like in a lot of generations you can just see like sharp contrast to the last one.
Yeah.
So,
right. You see kind of a swing
back
and forth. Because I think like boomers and right around there, they were working hard. It might have been for a different reason, but it was probably more for capitalist reasons.
Right.
But they were working hard, and then you kind of see the next generations kind of swing to, we don't want to be like that. We don't want everything to be about work. And now it's kind of swinging back. It seems like it's swinging back to like, but if you don't work, you don't eat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So another thing that I wanted to ask you about the difference between millennials and you is that some of the things I've read said that actually your generation knows how to handle technology a little bit better than, a lot better than millennials.
Yes.
Yeah.
That I think you get thrown in and stereotyped with the previous generation that was just so hooked on and fascinated with the internet that you couldn't really penetrate that world.
Right.
And also, they're the ones that ended up having a problem with that world being so unrealistic that it made them depressed about their own life. But they're saying that your generation is a little more realistic about that, or a lot more realistic, and that you actually have started setting self-boundaries.
Yeah, that
even
is,
at a young age. Do you see that?
Oh, for sure. It's like I feel like with like a lot of my friends, there's like this thing on Apple now where you can like control like how much of
your screen time.
Right. And I feel like a lot of my friends really, really use that, but also like really go by it. Like they don't, because they like seeing how much time they spend. And I feel like another thing about Gen Z that was said is that they're a lot like, they really value honesty.
Like they want to connect.
Right. So it's like, whereas millennials, like they were just so fascinated by it because it was like such a big new thing that it was like they kind of just took it as much as they could. But Gen Z's, since it's such like a part of our life, it's like it's everywhere.
It's nothing really special for us.
Right.
I feel
so we are trying to kind of like limit ourselves. And,
Do you think it's working? I mean, do you think that your generation does like draw more boundaries about social media and the internet and things like that? I think they do.
I think that like,
I mean, it depends.
Since we're more experienced with technology and we know more of the history, I think we can use a little bit more discretion. But it's not really like I'm just, trying to connect with all these people online that I don't know, because I know that cannot end well, but also I value the people that are a part of my community more.
So would you say that you're less concerned? Because I know not just millennials, but I think everybody that, like to my generation too, with the internet being so new, got very focused on like how many friends I have and on there and how many likes I get and all that kind of thing. Yeah. Would you say that you're a little less concerned about that, or you think it's kind of equal?
I think it's kind of equal.
Yeah.
Because, like, I mean, to say that we aren't, like, that isn't something that we think about when we post something is
just not true.
It's not true. And, like,
and follower count. Like, people care. Like, 'cause it's kind of like in the same way that someone would care about how many friends they had at a high school, like who they knew and stuff.
Yeah. Another thing, though, that's really popular on Instagram is like having a spam account, and that you don't really care about because it's a lot of times it's like used for like memes or TikTok videos or just like
random stuff.
Yeah,
that
like
you think
funny
is
pictures
funny
of yourself or something.
Yeah.
So
like
that doesn't matter.
We kind of have. So for us, it's like we have the account where we don't care.
Right.
A lot of the times. And then we have the account where we like post nice pictures. We want us to get more followers and likes and stuff like that. Okay. So I think like you were saying, like people would kind of like millennials would show off on social media and then they'd get like depressed and stuff.
Yeah.
I still definitely think that's a thing with my generation.
For sure.
And like comparing and like even just missing out on things and like seeing when your friends met up.
Yeah, because people post a lot like when they like meet up with friends or they do something fun together. They post that is like something that they really post about. And it's kind of hard when you're not a part of that to not feel like left out, but also like if you're like friends with that person. It's
you guys even have a little initial saying. What do you call that?
What?
You have a word for that.
FOMO?
Yes.
Yes,
FOMO.
FOMO.
Which is?
Fear of missing out.
Okay. We're going to just wrap it up right there, and we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about this because it's such an interesting conversation. So talk a little bit more about Gen Z. See you next time.